Hello, welcome back to Planet 40k. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the top 10 Necron units that work best with dealing with GEQ units. So the first question is, what is a GEQ unit? And very simply, it's a guardsman equivalent. Now there are some other abbreviations within the 40k game. You've got MEQ, which is marine equivalent, TEQ, Terminator equivalent, VEQ for vehicles, and you kind of get the gist of where we're going with this. But the GEQs are guardsman equivalents. They're going to have toughness 3 with a 5+ armor save. Doesn't necessarily have to be guardsman. Any unit that's got that stat line is going to be a good target for units within this video. Now toughness 3 with the 5+ armor save is quite a nice number for some of our units within our codex, because when they're at toughness 3, it means our strength 6 weaponry is going to be wounding them on a 2+, and even our strength 4 and 5 weaponry is going to be wounding them on a 3+. Then not only that, the AP doesn't need to be too massive. They're already on a 5+ armor save as it is, so even -1 AP puts them on a 6+. So yeah, you don't really need the AP in this situation. It's mainly about the amount of attacks you've got. So before we actually get into our top 10 list, I just wanted you guys to bear in mind that all the maths that I've done within this top 10 video, none of these will include any buffs whatsoever, because of course, once you start adding buffs and other variables to the mathematics, it becomes quite difficult to put into a top 10 list, especially when you've got things like the Technomancer with a control node, or My Will Be Done, things like that. So we're not going to be taking into consideration any of those options, but yeah, you kind of know the synergies already. If you don't, we've got plenty of other videos within our playlist. So let's start with the first one. At number 10, we've got the Canoptek Wraiths. Now when you're taking the Canoptek Wraiths against toughness 3 models, you definitely want to be taking them with the whip coils as well as the particle casters. Now the casters are going to cost you 5 points extra, but they're probably going to be worth it. So let's start with those whip coils to begin. They're going to be strength user, not strength 6 like the claws. So strength user, which is strength 4, -1 AP and 1 damage. Now -1 AP is all you really need against those kind of units. So they're usually toughness 3, armor save of a 5. So all you really need is a -1 AP, and yeah, they're already on a 6+ armor save. 1 damage is definitely going to be more than enough. They're not going to have more than 1 wound. And when you take in the whip coils, instead of making your regular attacks, you're going to have 2 hit rolls instead of 1. So every single Canoptek Wraith that has 4 attacks will now have 8 attacks at strength 4. Now when you take all that into consideration, on average a unit of 5 Canoptek Wraiths will eliminate 11 of these models in melee. Now when you take the particle casters into consideration, which are 5 points per model as mentioned, you're going to be getting 2 shots per Wraith. They're strength 6, so they're going to be wounding on a 2+, no AP, that's not too bad, and the 1 damage, so you're going to get an additional 2 to 3 dead models for an average unit of 5 Wraiths. So overall, as a total average unit of 5 Canoptek Wraiths with the whip coils and particle casters, you can expect a total average of 13 to 14 dead models that are toughness 3 with a 5+ armor save. So in number 9, we've got the Lychguard. Now you're likely going to be wanting to take the Hyperphase Sword and Dispersion Shield option. Now don't get me wrong, you can still take the War Scythes. They're going to do virtually the same stats against the models we're going up against today, but the shields give you that invulnerable save, so that's kind of why I put the Hyperphase Sword and Dispersion Shield option in this today. So when you've got a unit of 5 of them, on average, with the Hyperphase Sword, you're going to be killing 8.3 models in melee, because they're again strength 6, so they're going to be wounding on a 2+, -3 AP is plenty, and 1 damage, yeah. My 8.3 dead in melee from an average unit of 5 of them. Now when you're comparing that to the Canoptek Wraiths, which is 13 to 14 dead for a unit of 5, okay, those numbers don't look as good, but you got to bear in mind that the Canoptek Wraiths are 35 points per model plus the 5 points for the particle caster, so 40 points, whereas the Lychguard are only 25. So when you actually do all the complicated maths, which we're not going to be doing the complicated stuff today, I'm just going to be showing you an average here. When you go through all the complicated figures, Lychguard actually do perform better. Next at number 8, we've got the Skorpekh Destroyers. Now the Skorpekh Destroyers have got a couple of different weapon options within the unit. The Hyperphase Reap Blade, which is strength 7, -4 AP, 3 damage, and the Hyperphase Threshers, which is strength 5, -3 AP, and 2 damage, but you do get an additional attack with the Threshers. Now you need to bear in mind when you're doing the maths for this that they got the Hardwired for Destruction ability, so they're going to get to reroll all hit rolls of a 1. So yeah, taking all that into consideration, a unit of 5 of these Skorpekh Destroyers will on average kill between 10 and 11 of these models in melee. So again, bear in mind, this is models that are toughness 3 with a 5+ armor save. So the damage does slightly go to waste in this case, but they've still got so many attacks that it's still kind of worth it. In at number 7, we've got the Necron Warriors, and they've got to be taken the Gorse Reapers. And the reason to take the Gorse Reapers is because of that AP. You're getting -2 AP. Now the strength in this situation isn't going to make any difference. Strength 4, Strength 5 going up against Toughness 3 is still wounded on a 3+, but that AP -2 will remove a save completely as opposed to giving them a 6+ armor save. So taking an average unit of 10 Necron Warriors with the Gorse Reapers, you can expect an average of 9 dead models at range, which, okay, that's not doing as much as the 5 Skorpekh Destroyers are doing, but again, these are 13 points a model this time, so 130 points to net you those 9 dead models in a single shooting phase. On to number 5, we've got the Tomb Blade, and to be honest, all the weapon choices do virtually the same thing in terms of the maths, going up against toughness 3 with a 5+ armor save. So it's kind of take your pick, it doesn't matter which one you do. I mean, you can go for the shorter range particle beamers, which are free, you're getting more shots with 6 shots per model, but you're not getting any AP with that, or you can spend 5 points to get the Twin Gorse Blaster. Now you're only getting 4 shots as a maximum if you're within 15-inch range. It does have the AP this time at -2, or if you want the 4 shots at 24-inch range, again for 5 points with no AP but exploding 6s, you go for the Twin Tesla Carbine. But once you work out all the maths, all of them are pretty much identical, so a unit of 3 of the Tomb Blades on average will kill 5 to 6 in a single shooting phase. Now that doesn't seem like a lot, but Tomb Blades are pretty cheap now, they're only 20 points per bike. If you're taking 3 of them, that's only 60 points to be eliminating 5 to 6 models at range. Now in fact, speaking of Tomb Blades, if you wanted to magnetize your Tomb Blades for any of those 3 weapons that we've just mentioned, head on over to the Magnet Baron where they're selling magnetizing kits for the Tomb Blades. You're going to be getting 3 in a kit for $11.99 in US dollars. They do ship worldwide, so it's going to come with a total of 9 magnetization bits, and the whole kit is going to cover all 3 of your Tomb Blades. So yeah, that's the Magnet Baron, and the link will be in the description. Okay, on to number 5, we've gone with the Hexmark Destroyers. Now bear in mind that this model is only 65 points, and going up against toughness 3 units with a 5+ armor save, these are pretty decent. So they come with the Emitic Disintegrator pistols, and they get 6 of them, 18-inch range, pistol 1, strength 6 for the wounded on 2s, -1 AP, which is plenty, and 1 damage. They're a Destroyer cult unit, so they're going to be re-rolling 1s, and they naturally hit on a 2+. And that's even in Overwatch as well. So from a single 65 point Hexmark Destroyer, on average you'll be killing 6 to 7 models at range. And the reason why it's 6 to 7 models, even though they've only got 6 shots, because every model that you remove from the table, you're going to be getting an additional shot. So from the 6 original shots, you're likely killing 4 models, and then you're going to be getting 4 additional shots, which will make up 2 or 3 more dead models. But that's only 65 points, and that's why they're coming in the top 5. As for number 4, we've gone with the Ophydian Destroyers, one of the faster Destroyer cult units within our codex. Very similar weapons comparable to the Skorpekh Destroyers, but there's a little bit extra here. We'll talk about them now. So first of all, a model's going to have the Reap Blade. Again, it's strength +2, but this time it only makes it strength 6, not strength 7. -4 AP and 3 damage. And then the rest of the models have the Hyperphase Threshers, strength 4, -3 AP and 2 damage with an extra attack. But then all models in the unit have the Ophydian Claws, strength 4, -1 AP, 1 damage, and they all get 2 additional attacks. Again, they're re-rolling 1s because they're Destroyer cult units. So when you've got a unit of 5 of these, on average they're going to be killing 14 to 15 models in melee. So they virtually kill the same amount of models that the Skorpekh Destroyers have, but those Ophydian Claws really do come in handy with a unit of 5 of them. That's 10 additional attacks, and that's what gets them to 14 or 15 dead models. In third place, a little bit surprising this one, it's the Lokhust Heavy Destroyers with the Emitic Exterminators. Now to be honest with you, I never take this weapon, but I might start considering it against these kind of units. Now let's go through some figures to show you what I mean. So before we do, let's get onto the actual weapon. 36-inch range, heavy 3d3, which is kind of similar to the damage when you're taking the big Gorse Destructor, but this is actually for the amount of hits this time. So you're averaging 6 shots per Lokhust Heavy Destroyer, potentially getting 3, potentially getting 9, depends what you roll there. Now it's strength 7, -1 AP and 1 damage with the Blast keyword. Again, they're re-rolling 1s, and when you do take into consideration that blast ability, on average a unit of 3 of these guys is going to be taking out 14 to 15 models at range. Why I've said the blast keyword needs to be considered is because you're going up against a unit of 11 plus models to give you the maximum number of shots, so that'd be 9 shots per Lokhust Heavy Destroyer. Now if there's between 6 and 10 models, it's not actually going to have any effect because it will give you 3 shots, and you actually get 3 as a minimum with 3d3 anyway, so it has no effect in that sense. But when there's 11 plus models, which a Horde unit usually does have, then yeah, you get 9 shots per Lokhust Heavy Destroyer, and that's why the figures are 14 to 15 at range. Number 2, which was another surprising one to be honest with you, another unit I don't really take, and it's the Triarch Praetorians. Now it's not so much for the Rod of Covenants. In this situation you want to be taking the Particle Casters and the Void Blades. Let's go through the Void Blades to begin. They're kind of like a power sword. They're going to be strength 5, -3 AP and 1 damage with an additional attack. They do get 3 attacks base, which will go up to 4, so a unit of 5 of these is going to have 20 attacks, so on average that's going to be 12 to 13 dead models in melee. Now when you take into consideration the particle casters that they're also going to be carrying, 2 shots per model at strength 6, no AP and 1 damage, a unit of 5 averages between 3 and 4 dead models at range. So when you combine those two totals together, you can expect a unit of 5 of these to be removing 16 models. Now before getting into the number 1 option in this video today, I just wanted to throw out some honourable mentions. Now the Silent King and the Nightbringer in particular, I didn't want to bring them into this video today because they're not really comparable. They might do quite a lot of damage, remove a lot of models, but the Silent King is 400 points and the Nightbringer is 320 points. So it's kind of hard to compare those to say a unit of 5 Lychguard models. It doesn't really compare, even though they do have the damage output, but you're paying almost twice as many points to do so. But I didn't want to put them in this top 10 list today. Now the Canoptek Spiders were definitely a consideration today, because not only do they have the strength 8 claws with 5 attacks, but they've also got 2 particle beamers, which is a total of 12 shots at strength 5, no AP. So then you times it by 3 because you can have 3 in a unit, but once you do the maths, they don't actually make our top 10 list. And the same applies to the Annihilation Barge. Even if you go double Tesla, they don't do as much damage as even the Canoptek Wraiths in this list today. So that brings us on to number 1 in this list, which is going to be the Flayed Ones. Now the stats for the Flayed Ones are going to be absolutely mammoth, and you're going to see in a moment. So first of all, they've got the Flare Claws, strength 4, minus 1 AP, 1 damage, which is absolutely perfect going up against horde units. They've got the Flesh Hunger ability, so going up against a non-vehicle unit, any unmodified hit rolls of a 6 will score an additional hit. Bear that one in mind when we do the maths in a moment. Now usually when you're taking Flayed Ones, you kind of got 2 options. You're either going to be taking a unit of 5 of them to be scoring your secondary objectives, or you're going to be taking a large unit of 20 of them to be absolutely annihilating something. So when you take a unit of 5 of them, with 3 attacks each, that's going to be 15 attacks. Not forgetting that 6s are additional hits, and then with those 5 Flayed Ones, you can expect between 6 and 7 dead models in melee. Now that unit alone is only costing you 50 points. Now, when you take a unit of 20 of them, it gets a little bit insane, because now all of a sudden you can expect an average of 27 to 28 dead models in melee. And that's only costing you 200 points. That's a lot of dead models, and don't forget you've got the stratagem to fight again if you pleased as well. And when you're getting additional hits for scoring 6s, that's a buttload of 6s. I mean, when you've got 20 of them with 3 attacks each, that's 60 attacks right there. Now that's providing that all models get into the fight. Sometimes that doesn't happen, but if, say for the sake of argument, all 20 models get into the fight, that's 60 attacks. On average, 10 of those dice are going to be 6s. So you're hitting on 3s anyway, so that's going to be 40 hits, 10 more for the 6s, that's 50 hits straight away. Wounded on 3s, that's causing 33 wounds. And their 5-up armor save will go up to a 6+, that's where you get the 27 to 28 dead models from. So guys, that's our top 10 Necron units for dealing with GEQ units. Let me know in the comments down below if I've missed any units, or you just think some are better than others. Let me know and explain why. Also guys, don't forget the Magnet Baron link down in the description, and also don't forget to subscribe on your exits. Guys, thank you all for watching, I'll see you next time.